My name's Jenny May, and I'm with John Worthington there in Puerto Vallarta. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Jenny. How you doing, kid?
Well, can't complain. You know how that goes.
Yeah, well, you can, but nobody listens, right?
That's right. That's right.
There you go. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I'm here today, and I wanted to ask you if you could go over agreement. What is it? How's it work?
Oh, agreement, huh?
Mhm.
Well, the simplest way to say this is that agreement is anything that you make real. Okay, if you're making something real, then you're in agreement for that thing. That's the idea. And it's something we all do. We all do it all the time and so forth. But it's a lot more complicated, it appears, than what we think it is. It's kind of like this elephant in the room that we never address, as it were. So we all say, okay, well, I know what an agreement is. I agree, I don't agree, and well, that's cute, but it's not really. It doesn't really define what an agreement is. An agreement is always going to be something that's supporting or sustaining or creating a real thing or reality, something that's real. That's what it does. It refers to some kind of I don't know whether you'd say the foo-foo dust of what holds reality together in our minds or what. Maybe it's something like that, or maybe it's a lot more physical than that. Maybe it's a lot more quantum than that. Let's say, but
I
there's
guess.
it certainly has that kind of interaction because it's between people. That's where agreement is, and it's a ongoing, living, sustaining action that creates a real thing.
I
Good
mean,
thing or bad thing doesn't make any difference. It just creates a real thing. It's that flow is always there amongst us folks.
I guess the easiest way you could see it, right, is a business entity. Yeah. I mean,
You could that
they-
that's a way that we're
one
fairly
way.
yeah, that's a way that we all can visualize and that we know about, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and what from that perspective, whatever that business, whatever product or service that business makes is a result of the agreement of the people in the business. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, just before we got on here, I was talking to you about buying a truck. Even in that interaction, there's an agreement, you know?
Of course there is. There are probably a number of agreements to sustain something like a truck because there's money involved, there's use involved, there's uh, status involved, I guess. There's usefulness involved. Uh, how much does it cost to run it involved? There's all kinds of things involved with that. So yeah, there's a number of agreements.
You're telling me about the running it part. But so
Yeah.
agreements get a lot more complicated though when it's a dyad, and I know that you've been doing a dyad class recently.
Right. Right.
I
Well,
mean, the,
because in the dyad, but all of those agreements that you hold that you use to hold that truck in place are also dyadic in their very nature. But
yes.
with a couple, for instance, that dyadic agreement is upfront and in your face and all the other kind of stuff. It's first and foremost. Okay, it's the thing that they're about is what's the deal between them. Okay, what's real, what isn't. How far can you go? How far can I go? How far, what are the limits that we have to operate within in order to keep this thing where we can understand it. And
Mhm.
that's how an agreement's held in place. That's what works because everybody stays within the limits of that agreement. Like for instance, for your truck, if you're going to drive it, you have to stay within the limits of how much it costs to drive the damn thing.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Or sell the damn thing.
take your pick.
Right.
That's staying within the limits, right?
Yeah. Something that you've brought up multiple times is movement away and movement towards.
Yeah.
Because even with arguing, okay, in a dyadic relationship, like there's still a movement away and a movement towards. And sometimes that gets really complicated because even if you fight back, you know, it's a defense mechanism, right?
Well, it
But
can be, yeah. It
yeah,
depends. Yeah.
it depends.
Yeah, it depends. Context, right?
Right. Context is everything.
Yeah.
But in the same regards, I mean, people, and I know that I've struggled with this too. Like, what are the limits of an agreement? What's the depth of an agreement? What's,
Those things are set by the people in the agreement. And it's not known, maybe even by them, because the agreement itself does not seem to be all that conscious.
yes.
Okay. When like for instance, when you agree to be a couple, okay, whether it's a man and a girl or a girl and a girl or a guy and a guy, it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah.
If
Who
you agree
cares?
to be a couple, one of the things that you agree to is that you agree that you're going to share energy, and boy, that covers a whole bunch of things. I mean, the gamut's just endless. Okay, even in a business, if you're in a business, and that's something people just never understand, it. If you're in a business and you understand the business, you have license to use that business to make money for the business. And if you make money for the business, then you're going to make money for yourself, because that's that's what a business does. It makes money for the business, but it also makes money that's a little bit that's left over for whoever it is that's doing the thing. It isn't all the owner of the business, it's whoever's there. And the thing is that most of the time people say, well, I do all these things for the business, for instance, right? But they don't really think about what the value of all those things that they do for the business actually is, because that value may not be enough to pay the electric bill, for instance.
Mhm.
Okay, so what part of the entire business income is actually belongs to them then? Because if they're earning an amount that's too little to be noticed, and they're spending more than what they think they are, then the business isn't making money, even though they're doing all these things for the business. Well, that's really kind of your job, isn't it? To do all these things for the business? Isn't that why you're paid, to do those things? And isn't that how you're paid, by doing all those things? And so that's an agreement within the business, but it includes having to do things that are let's say, new to you, the things that you have to learn how to do, that you have to invent ways of doing better, quicker, because it's you that's doing it. Okay, you don't necessarily have to do it the way the business says. You have to end up with the product being equal to or better than the business model product is. If you can do that, then you're making money for the business, and you're paying your salary. Rather than you being a cost, you're being an income to the business. At a point where that income becomes more than what the business normally makes, then you can get a part of that. You might even be able to get all of that.
Mhm.
But it depends on how much service you provide to that business, right? The same thing. Now that's the business model. In a couple model, it's really the same thing. Okay. Each part of the couple is trying to make the entire couple idea work better and more profitably than what it did earlier. That's what they do.
So, I mean, even that idea extends out into the whole family, into
Right.
a house or a home.
Okay, so stop right there. So here you come along and you say, okay, I want to buy a truck, right?
Mhm.
And you go and you talk to somebody about that. And that person says, well, I don't know, that model truck, it's a gas hog.
Mhm.
And then somebody else comes along and says, but that person says, but it's a good truck, but it costs to run it. And then somebody else comes along and they say, well, that's a really, really good idea. Damn, why don't you buy that thing? Yep, snap to, girl, under it, please, buy it. And somebody else comes along and they say, oh, shoot, girl, you can't afford that. Now, which one of those three is an actual agreement?
Wouldn't they all be?
Well, it depends on how you want to interact with them. If you want somebody that's just going to kiss your butt and say, well, sure, shoot, girl, you're going to buy that thing. You're going to look real fine in there. That's a good accoutrement to what you're wearing or not wearing, as the case may or may not be.
Yep.
All right. If that's what you're looking for, then that's the agreement.
Yeah,
Right. How
right.
much it costs. Okay.
I look so fucking hot driving that truck.
There you go. Okay.
There's that one, right?
There's that one, right? But then there's the other one of saying, well, boy, you're right. It's going to cost me a lot to run that damn thing. And no, I shouldn't maybe buy it on account of that, I'm going to be spending money I ain't got. There's that one. Okay. And then there's the other one saying, okay, it's a good buy. And if I play my cards right, I get me back and forth to the store and to daycare and wherever else I have to go to. But I can't be going out gallivanting at night because that puppy going to, it sounded like a toilet when I started up. That carburetor doesn't filter the gas through, it flushes it through, it runs on. So, it depends on really what you want to make real there, right? They're all three agreements, but the only one that I would have trusted is the one that said, okay, I don't think it's a good idea, but I can see but it could be a good buy if you were careful with it, because maybe what you could do to it is turn it for something that's more viable, because that person's thinking about me, not about them or what they want or what they think or what they say. They're saying, okay, here are the alternatives that you're going to want to look at, huh?
Yeah.
See, to me that's a safer agreement, even though it's more cautious. Of course, I'm an old guy, so I don't care whether I look hot in the truck or not. You know why? Of course, I don't. It's that simple.
Well, that was the idea, when I got this truck, is that it's got 4 new tires. It's got 84,000 miles on it. It's going to get me from point A to point B, last me maybe 4 years, and I'm not going to have to worry about it.
But $5 a gallon gas is going to be a challenge, huh?
Yeah, but that's the part. So if I'm only using it to running around back and forth, just to, like you said, to run William up to the, where he's got to go and then back, I'm fine for right now.
But a cross country trip, and it probably is out of the question.
Right.
I'm talking about from Benton to Williamsport, for instance. Maybe to Muncie, but that's about it.
But sure do I look fine. No, I'm kidding.
Right, you're kidding.
I mean, I don't think that
but this is related to your movement toward, movement away idea, though, right?
Right.
Okay, because each one of those statements that we talked about before was movement toward or movement away, right? And there were some of them that were a little bit of both. And there were other ones that were just movement toward. And something that's all one way or all another way is probably not a good idea. Is probably not an agreement being offered. Someone is saying, okay, it could be this way and it could be the other way. Which way have you thought about these things? And you say, well, yeah, I did. And, I could do it because of this. It's like right now, when I asked you about, $5 an hour gas, your movement toward was to say, well, if I just do it here or there, it's okay. And so to check to see whether it was really okay, I made a funny with you about going to Williamsport.
Right.
And so you made movement toward on that. So we have an agreement there. You and I have an agreement that you can rely on that is safer for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now, does that mean that that's the only thing you're going to do with a truck? No, it doesn't mean that you won't go to Williamsport. No, it doesn't mean any of that. It means that that's a consideration for you to measure where you are and what you want to think about. And if you do that, how can it be any better than that? That's pretty real there. And
Right.
well, see, to me, that's what an agreement is. It's what we can make real. And that movement toward and movement away is how we measure what we can make real. If somebody makes movement towards something, that means that they want that thing. If they make movement away from it, it means they don't. They're not going to agree to something that they're making movement away to. So you need to find out, why are they moving away? Are they afraid of it? Do they understand it? What's going on? What do we need to communicate about to find a safe place to get past this impasse?
Right.
You know, how do we bridge over that? What's required?
You know, you have a lot of tools in your tool belt too that you use to calculate, right? As well. I mean, maybe we
Yeah, I
can't
do.
cover it in this session, but I mean, just to touch on a few, I mean, you use
Well,
like stuff from Hancock.
a while ago, for instance, I was talking with Vincent about he's trying to get a landing page up. And I was asking him about that. I said, okay, well, where are we with that landing page? And he tried to answer. He said, well, is it okay if I get an agreement for, I don't, no, no. He said, well, I talked with this other person and this other person could do, and I said, no, I'm not asking that. I'm asking you, what's the problem? Really, what is the problem that you have about getting the landing page up? That's the only thing I'm asking about. I'm not mad about it or anything else. It took me about 20 minutes to get a straight answer about that. Okay, because
Vicente.
there was a lot of that. No, okay, look, do I have to throw your ass out here? How serious? How do I tell you this thing? You're not answering the question. I'm asking you here. Okay, I'm not mad at you. I don't love you or anything like that. It's that you're not answering the question I need answered. And I can't go on with this because it's business. So we need an answer to this question. It's a critical factor thing. Well, after about 20 minutes, that not only did we find an answer, but we found an agreement that got that solved. Okay. Now, it wasn't the agreement I was looking for. It was an agreement. And it would make something real. And and if I don't like those things, because it didn't make any difference how it turned out. It was that there was an agreement, it was offered, everybody could benefit from it, and there was a win for everybody involved. That's a good thing. That's an excellent thing. That's called synergy in lots of ways too, right? Now, that's all because of movement toward, movement away. Okay, you measure that with movement toward, movement away. It's like with Vincent, he thought that he was going to get into trouble, so he tried to move away from things. He thought that somebody was going to yell at him, so he tried to move away from that. And he thought that not telling a story about it would be the way to do that. Well, that's shall we say, an economic way of addressing the world. Okay, it is so economic actually that it's cheaper than a dollar store. It's actually very cheap because it's saying here's a fantasy in exchange for reality. That's chintzy. That has no value. Just tell me what's real, and we can deal with that. If you tell me the fantasy, then what am I going to base the reality on? Will that bubble burst? So as long as I'm seeing that movement away from whatever is real, then I know that there can't be an agreement about real things, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And so therefore, in that regard, Vincent was not being at one with himself. He was divided. He could see the real thing, but he couldn't talk about it. So that's a division inside of Vincente. Now, does that make him a bad guy? No. It makes him a young person. That's it. He's young. Okay. That's the whole thing. And he was raised in a family where money was too tight to mention. Okay, he just, boy, you know, anything that costs money, oh, boy, I can't talk straight about that. I got to talk around it. Okay. Now, the thing is that that meant that he couldn't be in harmony anywhere because that fantasy tune that he's singing doesn't really exist. Okay, the chord changes that he wants to make in that song, they're not actual chord changes. They're random notes on the piano, or the random notes put together, and they squeak and squawk and make you, but they're not pleasant, shall we say. And so therefore he was not communicating information. And so nothing could be made real. Now I use all those three things as which is the basis of any agreement. You have to have all those things functional all at one time. The people making agreement have to be at one with themselves. The people who making the agreement have to be in harmony with each other. And the people making the agreement have to communicate information that does for one another. That's what an agreement is. That's the component parts of an agreement. Now there's more to it because you have to set those components parts up on a geography, as it were. But once that's done, once you can do that kind of thing, then you really can begin to use that platform to see what agreements are possible and what agreements that you want to make real and so forth. It's something that you can use to examine your own programming behavior, all kinds of things. If you're big enough to do that. If you're not, well, then keep on playing in the sandbox. I don't mind. You know, it's legal. There's lots of sandboxes. I'm sorry?
I said, if you dare to, right?
Yeah.
I know that it can make a world of difference just to be able to see and to have even a language, you know, like I just took the Dyad class recently with my partner right now, and just having a little bit of language, you know, of course, those are really deep thoughts. You know, I've been doing these classes with you for a
They're
long
not really
time.
deep thoughts. What they are is they're outside of what we normally talk about. They're in Spanish we'd say they're extranjeros. They're strangers to our normal thinking. Okay,
Yes.
but it doesn't mean that we're not aware of them.
Right.
Okay, that's the issue. It's like our programming. We're not aware of the vast majority of our programming. We're just not aware of it. We think that we're all in control because we can talk to ourselves. Well, that's cool that we can talk to ourselves. I mean, that's good. I don't mind.
I don't know if that works so much though.
Well, it doesn't work, but it's misleading. Yeah, it's just it that way.
Yes.
Because who is it answering me? And how does that person know what it's talking about any more than I do, whatever that is, or whoever was me and whoever that, never mind, it gets complicated.
What's that saying about a doctor is a fool for a patient or something like that?
There you go. Doctor treats himself. He's got a fool for a patient. That's a fact.
Right.
Okay, so we need to go outside of ourselves somehow or the other to see what we're doing, and that the agreement platform is one that allows us to do that. Is it fail safe? Oh, no, it's not fail safe. It's you know, it's a tool, right? Is
Right.
a hammer fail safe, or can you bust the bejesus right out of your thumb if you don't hit that nail right? Well, you can see it's a good tool for driving the nail in, but you know, if you miss that nail, it'll hurt you.
Yeah.
You know, you'll learn how to hit the nail every time you hit your thumb enough. You know, I'm pretty sure.
And it's definitely unforgiving on your thumbs.
Oh, it doesn't care. It just does not care at all. It can hammer. Cold. That's what it is. Cold steel.
So are you still having these Dyad classes then every Thursday?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We had one last night actually. Paul came on and helped me out with that one. And it was kind of, it's fun. Having Paul on a call is always fun.
Oh, yeah.
You should do that with me one night because you know about these things really.
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah.
Oh, be careful, be careful.
Well, I just have to plan it, because I got to make
Well,
sure Williams.
me too. I always have to plan these out.
Yeah.
Okay. So what else can I help you with here today, Kim? Or did that cover it all?
Well, I only got a few minutes left anyways, but
Okay.
you do this again. I gotta go pick William up soon.
Sure, we can do this again. Why not? We can always. I don't mind talking with you. I never have, never will. So you're fun to talk to.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Well, you're welcome then, and
Yep.
we'll see you later.
All right.
We'll next time that you need somebody to talk to, we'll just film you a bit. How's that?
Oh, John, I always reach out to you, so.
Okay, kid.
All
I'll
right,
see you
thanks.
later then. Bye.
All right, bye.